Get set, where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying? Cecil.
This is why I train in martial arts.
Show you right behind me across the grass, there's a man in handcuffs. Now, we did learn from Seattle Fire that a 30-year-old woman was stabbed in the armory at the Seattle Center. We don't know if the man who's in handcuffs right now is a suspect or if he's involved in the situation. We're trying to get as much information as we can from police, but as you can imagine, this is a very popular area for tourists, for a lot of people who are coming to visit. So for something like this to happen, it is quite shocking, and that's why you see a lot of police here and a lot of people who are just trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And as soon as we have more information, we will send it back to you. Stay with us at 5 p.m.
Police also recovered the knife he used. Just take a listen to what a witness who was in the Mod Pizza only feet away from the victim as she was being stabbed told us after it happened.
The woman screamed. One time I turned, I looked, and I saw his hand going down like on her shoulder to hit her, and then I thought, that's too much. As I turned towards my stuff, I turned back again, and all of a sudden that's when I saw a blade. And it was like he went 20 times as I ran towards, and everyone else did, to try to get him off her. And by the time we got him off her, I mean, she didn't look too good.
This is video of a man who police say stabbed the mother of his 4-year-old child in broad daylight, walking through the Seattle Center. In front of him, with his gun drawn, is Scott Brown.
It's a little nerve-wracking.
Brown works at one of the restaurants in the Armory. Friday is his day off, but he says for some reason, he decided to come to work anyway. While talking with his friends, Brown tells me he started to hear screaming.
I saw a girl on the ground, laying in somebody's lap.
Brown says he is a concealed weapon license holder. He had his gun on him. He tells me he decided to act.
I just kept trying to get him to put down the knife. We just kept walking backwards and backwards and backwards.
The whole time, Brown tells me he waited for someone to help.
Way too long. I kept looking around for police, security.
Brown says the last thing he wanted to do is shoot anyone.
Yeah, this is why I train in martial arts. In case you have to deal with somebody that's being stabbed or trying to stab you. It's like the man stabbed the woman in the restaurant in front of their child. Now, I don't mean to be mean, but I can't help but thinking, did she do something or say something to make him stab her? Because I don't see why he would just out and out just stab her for no reason. So were they having some kind of, some type of relationship issue? Did he think she was cheating? Was she cheating? Did he get violent? I mean, what's going on here to make this guy lose it like that? Now, 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be all that. Like, he probably does have a mental issue, and she probably cheated on him. That doesn't excuse what he did, but, a lot of times it's not just a one-sided thing. And I remember when I was in the reserves, there were a lot of cops in our reserve unit, and they told me straight up, in Washington, the worst type of call you could get is a domestic. I do not want to go on domestics because I was big back then. Like, yeah, even guys big as you, I'd rather handle you by myself than go on a domestic call because those are some of the most dangerous things on earth. I didn't have any idea what they were talking about because I'm not in law enforcement. But the more and more I look at stuff like that comes on the news, I see why they don't want to go on domestic calls. And the guy that saved the day was a guy with a gun. So, kudos to concealed carry people. But just remember, you got to have a solution. And even Attorney Aju Branca says this: have a non-lethal force solution. So, in addition to your gun, you have your pepper spray, and you can come to me and people like me for martial arts lessons. I wish I could conceal carry, but like I say this offline too. I don't think the state of Maryland wants you to have a gun. So people who make the laws in the state of Maryland, if you come across this video and you see the video I'm referencing, now you can see why you need to stop making it so hard for some of us who are law-abiding people to get guns. Because we may have to stop someone from stabbing someone else. So now, in terms of me just not rambling and giving my opinion on this issue, you might want to know, are there any techniques I recommend? There are a couple of things I can recommend And they don't even all work for me because of the way my body is shaped and built. But these are techniques that I've gotten from people over the years about dealing with the knife. So you can put both arms up like this to stop the knife from coming at you, especially if they're a lot bigger than you. I might make a separate video going through this. I would recommend, if you can't, just move it out the way. A lot of circular blocking techniques, circle blocks. So, ironically, and even though you do run the risk of your leg getting cut, if you have long legs and if you're good at a Taekwondo type of style, a very good kicking style, I would use kicks against the blade if you have to, because at least your leg is longer than their arm in that knife. But I mean, the old adages of pick up a weapon so that you can even out the odds, because that way you have a weapon and the attacker has a weapon. That makes sense. But there's really just a whole thing of avoidance. Now, one thing I will say too, this I guess is in the realm of hidden techniques, and this is taken from a cop. So this is something I got from a cop that I was in with the reserves. This is not going to make you knife proof. This is going to make you knife resistant. And what happened to him when he got stabbed is he was bleeding and everything, but he was able to survive long enough to get to the hospital because the guy stabbed him in the stomach, but he had ridiculous abs. He had, I guess we were young, so of course he looked like a model in the ab department. But he had super duper ridiculous muscles in his stomach. I've got super duper ridiculous muscles in my stomach, but they're covered up by flabs. So I did too many sit-ups and it's making my stomach stick out. But one thing that does happen when you have a lot of ab muscles, it's hard for something to cut through it. And like I said, it's not going to make you knife proof because it's not like you couldn't just die from blood loss. But if you got really strong ab muscles, it will fight against something that's cutting through you. And my wife's going to be mad at me saying this. Just like when my wife was getting was it the first cesarean or the second cesarean? It might have been, I think it was a second cesarean. Well, they're taking their time, and it took a long time for the doctors to cut through her abs because they were like, oh my God, it's like, how many sit-ups do you have this woman doing? This woman does a lot of sit-ups. She's looking at me. I'm like, I'm not making her do sit-ups. She want to do sit-ups because she wants to do sit-ups. Don't blame it over here. But apparently, if you've got a lot of muscle in your stomach, it makes it harder for blades to cut through. So if there's something that everyone can do that's not going to require any training or any type of skill, I guess the medical requirement would be that you don't have a really bad lower back, is to do as much sit-ups and ab exercises as possible. Again, it's not going to make you knife proof, but every little bit helps, and maybe that will help you survive being stabbed enough. Now, in this woman's case, she was stabbed up in these neck and shoulders area. So there's really not a lot that you're going to be able to do to condition that. But I'm thinking if he was at a restaurant and he stabbed at her in the neck and shoulders area, he probably stood up and stabbed her, and he just went at whatever he could see. There probably wasn't a lot of rational thought behind it. So at the time of this video, I think she's still in critical condition. I don't know if she survived or not. But I guess what we can add to our playbook is things like awareness, avoidance. You know, if you're having a rough domestic situation, you know, you got to be careful. There are things that, and this is not to excuse or place blame, but we got to be realistic. A lot of times when people's feelings are hurt, they can get violent. So please try not to do anything that would make somebody want to stab you. And again, I don't even know if she did that or not. I don't know if she did something that would make him want to do it. He could have mental issues. So if you're involved with someone who has, you know, severe mental issues, because not all mental patients attack people. But if you think you're dealing with someone who has a mental issue and might attack you, you're going to have to address that. You're going to have to find a way to safely end it, get that person some help or something. But then again, remember, there's a thing called temporary insanity. You know, if you're committing adultery, anybody might flip out and kill you. So you just got to be careful while you're out there living your life. And I hope that woman's okay. Well, I hope she will be okay. And she got stabbed in front of her 4-year-old. So that 4-year-old boy definitely needs some counseling, because he's either going to learn to stab or he's going to be drawn to people who stab, because he saw that in his formative years. So all three of those people are going to need some serious help. So thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this with people that talk about the martial arts. And peace.